Well. You just can't make this up. The leftist hypocrisy is truly something to be marveled at. A clip from 2020 has resurfaced of the CBC talking about, get this, the danger of Tylenol during pregnancy. This liberal, propagandist, communist spreader of Orwellian rhetoric deserves to be deplatformed. That's just my opinion. I mean, technically, they're spreading misinformation, and according to their rules, people who do that need to be censored. If their bias wasn't obvious before, this should really put things into perspective. If you enjoy my content, please leave a like so we can reach more people in Canada.
Donald Trump has used his powerful platform this afternoon to make an unproven link between autism and the active ingredient in Tylenol, a claim not backed by scientific data. Trump was speaking at a news conference at the White House where he advised pregnant Americans not to take the drug. Dr. Graham Smith is a professor of obstetrics and gynecology at Queen's University, and he joins us from Kingston, Ontario. Dr. Smith, first of all, I'd like to hear your reaction to what Trump said today.
Yeah, I think it was shocking. I can't say that I would normally be listening in on his announcements, but what was said, not just about Tylenol, but he also talked about vaccines. He talked about using Tylenol in children. I think he's done a lot of harm, and just as your reporter said, I think people should not feel guilty that they took Tylenol in or acetaminophen in a pregnancy and they have a baby that maybe developed ADHD or autism spectrum disorder down the road. The data does not support that. So it was actually quite shocking what was being said.
You know, one of the things that's interesting in this whole issue is that the people who follow kind of the scientific data are so careful in what they say. So some of the things we hear is there is no proven link between the Tylenol and autism. And the people on the other side speak very categorically. You know, there is a link between these two things. So it's quite possible that people who listen to all this say, oh, look, even the people who support this are saying that, are kind of hedging their bets. So let's speak clearly to people in Canada. We don't have to get kind of mired in the Trump political debate. As an expert in this field, if a pregnant woman were to come to you and say, I have a serious pain, I have a high fever, what should I do? What's your advice to them?
Yeah, we would absolutely be saying they should be taking acetaminophen, which is what Tylenol is.
And Medical Health Experts has released an important statement on pregnancy and pain medication. It's part of a study in the British scientific journal Nature, and here's what it does. It cautions pregnant women about using acetaminophen, and that is the active ingredient in Tylenol and many other medications that so many of us use to relieve pain or fever. CBC Health and Science reporter Christine Birak has the details.
The statement is backed by nearly 100 scientists and doctors from around the world. They insist a higher level of caution is needed when pregnant people use fever and pain meds that contain acetaminophen, including Tylenol. The authors don't have any new evidence showing the drug harms a developing fetus, but their statement does say a growing body of experimental and epidemiological research suggests that prenatal exposure to acetaminophen might alter fetal development, which could in turn increase the risks of certain neurodevelopmental, reproductive, and urogenital disorders.
Unbelievable. Well, not for people who choose not to blindfold themselves to common sense. The sad part about this unveiling of hypocrisy from state media is that the liberal viewers will just make excuses for them. How many times have you heard a liberal say something like, well, things change and science is always evolving? Oh my God, they can never admit that they were wrong. And not only that, but to me, it's even more dangerous for the CBC to discredit things that medical professionals in the US claim, because it leads people who suffer from Trump derangement to protest against him by resorting to extreme measures just so they can say, I'll show him. Well, in some cases, that could lead to accidental on-purpose overdoses of Tylenol.
I got a call, a very frantic call at 4 o'clock in the morning from a husband whose wife is now dying of liver failure on a ventilator in an ICU because she was trying to prove that Tylenol doesn't cause autism because of what Trump said on the news. Mind you, that's a Harvard study. Now, whether or not you believe the Harvard study or not is not the issue here. The issue is that she's somewhere between 23 to 25 weeks and she overdosed on Tylenol. and she's going to die. She's not going to come off that ventilator. She's going to die. It's going to be, let me tell you something about Tylenol overdosing and death, is that if you aren't administered the antidote, it is a very slow and painful death, okay? Because Tylenol, as well as Benadryl and aspirin, are the 3 most common OTCs that people will typically try to unalive themselves with, so I don't get censored. But now people are just taking massive amounts of Tylenol to prove Trump wrong. I mean, weren't these the same people who put Harvard and Fauci and the pillars of science on a pedestal? And now they refuse to believe it. Like, I don't believe it either. But I'm also not going to go overdose on Tylenol either. And it's just so sad because he has to make the choice of them going and trying to emergency deliver this baby. And the baby may not survive. The baby's going to spend a long time in the NICU. Hopefully the baby will survive. And remember, guys, preemies have complications even if they do survive. All because of TikTok challenges, guys. Everybody wants, well, not everybody, but maybe these crazy liberal women. They literally hate Trump so bad that she killed herself and her baby potentially.
Well, so much for gotcha. This is just tragic, man. Ideological differences, many of which are perpetuated by our media, is causing so much divisiveness in our society. These people need to stop watching mainstream media because it's poisoning their critical thinking and common sense.